It's Friday, September 17th, 2021. A little bit breezy this evening. Bear with me. I hope it's not coming across too badly on the audio, but I want to get right into this video today. And I want to start with this. Dow Jones down 166 points. Why do I bring that up? Because it should have been down 3,000 points today, maybe even more. First off, 332,000 people filed first-time jobless claims right here in America last week. We got that news yesterday. And what nobody is talking about is Evergrande, the largest Chinese property developer, is on the verge of collapse. The market should have been absolutely destroyed today. It was not. Nobody's talking about it. And this is a huge deal. This is a layman moment for China. And we talked just the other day, what will it be? Will it be something that comes out of left field that we're not expecting? Is it going to be something we are expecting? Is it going to be a big bank collapsing? Is it going to be the housing bubble bursting? How about a giant property developer in China, China's second largest property developer? The stock market is showing no signs of slowing down. But I want to share an article, and I'm going to talk more about what's happening in China in just a moment. But I want to share this article I read a couple days ago on CNBC. The stock market is undergoing a slow motion deterioration, with pockets of shares down 20% or more. All we hear is how the stock market is doing incredibly well, but let's dive into it a little bit here. When we look at industrials and materials, American Airlines is down 26% from its highs, FedEx down 20% from its highs, DuPont down 20% from its highs, PPG down 18% from its highs, Caterpillar down 17% from its highs, Stanley Black & Decker down 17% from its highs. When we look at retailers, Nordstrom's is down 41% from its highs. Gap down 36%. Abercrombie down 24%. Kohl's down 19%. Ross down 16% from its highs. Why isn't anybody talking about this? Luxury retailers, Kering down 21% from its highs. Tapestry down 20%. Ridgemont down 17%. Movado down 15%. And then we go to home builders. Pulte down 26% from its highs. KB Home down 21%. DR Horton down 17%. Lennar down 11% from their highs. Draw your own conclusions, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe things aren't as great as everybody is telling you, especially the people in the $3,000 suits on these business channels. It's amazing. These economists, these analysts, these consultants are just not telling anybody the truth. Now let's get back to China. This comes from The Hedge. China injects most liquidity since February to stem Evergrande panic. There's panic going on in China right now, and for you to think that this isn't going to affect America, it's not going to affect the entire globe, you're sadly mistaken. Now, I know most of you understand that if China lands up in a depression, we got big trouble here in America. The world has big trouble. If China goes down, we got very, very big trouble. Just like if America goes down, the world's got big trouble. Evergrande, second largest property developer in China. Their bonds have been blacklisted and can no longer be used as collateral. So they basically at this point have collapsed. So as I come to you this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, who knows where this all leads? The question is, does the Chinese government use the four biggest banks in the world to absorb these losses, to bail all this out, to clean up the mess? Or does the Chinese government just say, hey, too bad, the investors, whoever, the bondholders, we're going into a depression and everybody's going to learn a very, very valuable lesson here. Now get this, in the article, the People's Bank of China added 90 billion yuan, that's 14 billion US dollars of funds on a net basis through 50 billion in 7 days and 50 billion in a 14-day reverse repurchase agreements on Friday, offsetting 10 billion in maturities. The biggest one-day injection since February. Numerous industries could be exposed to credit risk, a free fall if Evergrande defaults. Evergrande has $305 billion in liabilities. Evergrande's liquidity stress is stoking worries over the broader Chinese property industry. According to the article here on The Hedge, much hinges on how big the real world impact winds up being on the wider property sector, where 70% of Chinese household net worth is parked. People could really get wiped out here in China. People could get wiped out across the world. The bonds are worthless now, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, how many pensions, how many funds, hedge funds, how many investors are in these bonds over in China with Evergrande? We don't know. Pensions, management companies, hedge funds, who knows? We don't know. But there's probably a lot of people tonight not sleeping. Wolfstreet.com today, what a collapse of China's Evergrande would mean. Property development in China accounts for 28% of GDP. China could really get rocked here, ladies and gentlemen. And most Americans don't care because they believe that's just China's problem. No, it's going to be a big problem here. Evergrande, I'm sure, has huge developments going on here in America. If they come to a standstill, if they can't pay money back, if the buildings can't be finished, who's going to absorb this? Authorities have cracked down on over-leveraged property developers. They've targeted mortgage approvals and interest rates for the first-time home buyers. They tapped down on rental growth. They pushed banks to reduce their lending to home buyers, all happening in China right now. Evergrande, the property developer with the most debt in the world. It owes banks, shadow banks, other companies, investors. It owes its suppliers. It owes contractors. It owes home buyers. $305 billion. If the government doesn't step in, and they don't absorb this with the 4 largest banks in the world right there in China, this is going to be felt worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. This is a scary moment for everybody. Now, I know most people will be out watching football tonight, or basketball, baseball, or cartoons, or God knows what people are doing right now, but they have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. This is a powder keg, and I'm not saying that anything's going to happen here, but if the Chinese government doesn't step in, there's going to be big problem felt all over the world. The whole industry over there in China is in huge trouble. 4 more major Chinese property developers are now teetering on the verge of collapse. The dollar bonds have collapsed on fears by international investors that those bonds cannot be refinanced when they mature, which would mean default, making it impossible to issue new debt to pay off investors. Maybe you're invested in one of these developers. Maybe your hedge fund is invested in one of these developers. How many of our banks are invested in one of these developers? Maybe your pension is invested in one of these developers. This is what happens to over-leveraged companies when investors get cold feet after eagerly being swallowed up with all the hype and hoopla for years. And then suddenly the end game starts with everyone wondering what might be left for them when the time comes to poke through the debris. Does this sound familiar? How many people here in America with their Robin Hoods and all the cryptos and all the gambling and all the Ponzi schemes, all the hoopla, everybody just being swallowed up with the euphoria, and everything's fine until it's not. And then when everything comes tumbling down and we have smoldering debris, people will poke through it and see if there's anything left, and there won't be. Some of the biggest losses right now from Evergrande are going to be foreign investors that bought these bonds. Again, hedge funds, pensions, investment companies, banks, you name it. I don't know. We're going to find out. Somebody's going to get hurt here. Someone's going to eat the cost. The question is, who is going to eat the cost here? Is it going to be the Chinese government, or is it going to be the foreign investors? And again, is that going to be your pension, your investment company, your hedge fund, your bank? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but we're going to find out when the dust clears here. Again, we don't know how bad this is going to be. If the Chinese government steps in, maybe they can absorb all this, and it's a small wave instead of a tsunami. We'll see. So we will just have to be patient and stand by and follow up with what develops with Evergrande and the other 4 large property developers in China, and what repercussions we will see here in America. These companies build high rises here in America. They build huge industrial projects here in America. I don't have any right now that I can list, but I know that we had Chinese developers building huge structures up in San Francisco, in Los Angeles. So have they come to a halt? Quite possibly, yes. And when a super high-rise or large industrial building just comes to a halt, there's hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars tied up. What happens to the contractors, the suppliers, the banks, people not getting paid, and a building just sitting there not doing anything? It's going to be a big problem. So we'll see what develops. I want to end with a couple quick articles here. Record shattered. We now have 61 container ships stacked off the west coast here in Long Beach. And this is another reminder of how dependent we are on other nations, especially China. If China has a collapse here, they're going into a depression, and America will be right behind them. Remember, we are dependent on literally everything coming from China. 90% of your pharmaceuticals are coming from China. If China goes into a depression, we're not going to be seeing 61 ships sitting off the coast. We're not going to be seeing a whole lot coming from China. You talk about a supply chain disruption, their factories will probably just shut down. And we are going to see a lot less shipment from China coming to America. So be very, very cautious. But we literally right now, those ships carry thousands of containers. There could be 250,000 containers on those ships waiting to get to port. Unbelievable how dependent we are. And again, the worst nightmare would be China goes into a depression and the supply chain disruption absolutely implodes, and they're not even sending ships over now because they're in a major economic shutdown, depression, collapse, whatever you want to call it. This would be detrimental. This would be a death blow to our country. And again, we'll see what develops. But again, if they go, we go. And I want to end on this. IRS sends third child tax credit payments around $15 billion to 35 million families. I mean, this, I don't even know how to really break this down into words, but we now, what we're seeing develop in China, we have a collapsing economy right now, a verge of China going into a depression. We are literally hanging on by a string here in America, trying not to fall into our own depression, but that could be kickstarted by China. And we just sent out another $15 billion to 35 million families. And when I watch the television, they're telling me how great the economy is, but we needed to send another $15 billion to 35 million families. There are no solutions here in America to fix the problems, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody is coming out and telling us a solution, giving us solution ideas how to get out of this. The only solution we are getting is free money, more helicopter money, more debt creation, in return making us all debt slaves, devaluing our currency, and causing more and more inflation. Inflation is going to soar in America. And God help everybody out there because, again, we don't know what's coming out of left field. We don't know what bank is going to blow up. We don't know now if the Chinese economy is going to go into a depression. And we don't know when the printing presses just melt down, overheat, and blow up, and now our money becomes worthless. And we've got very, very big trouble. We've got a society that doesn't want to go to work. We've got people that do want to go to work, but they can't get a fair wage, and their wages are getting destroyed by this inflation. So we have really got serious trouble. And to the people out there who always want to call this doom and gloom, and negativity, I feel sorry for you, because the people out there right now that don't have any fear of what's going on, no concern, completely naive, turning a blind eye to the reality of this economy and the world economy now, collapsing, $300 trillion of global debt. Yet these people say, don't worry, don't be negative, and don't be paranoid. That's the big one. Don't be paranoid. You know what? Maybe it's time to get a little paranoid, because if you're a little paranoid, maybe that'll wake you up to start preparing and getting ready for what's about to happen. For many people right now, for millions of people, it is already too late. Time, ladies and gentlemen, time is not your friend. Time is running out. We are running out of time every day. We're getting closer and closer to something very, very big happening. We are getting closer to this economy and these markets completely imploding, and you will be left on your own. People always go, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, procrastinate, procrastinate, procrastinate. Look, I'm guilty of procrastination. I've done it myself. But this is so serious, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot reiterate enough that time is not your friend. Time is against you now. And for millions of people out there, it's already too late. They're done. They're broke. They're done. They're going to be evicted out of their apartments. They're going to be foreclosed on their homes. They have no money saved up. They've had no assets. They went out. They partied for the last year. They just mooched off the gravy train. And those people are done. You're not. Take this day right now, tonight, and do something and start getting ready. Take this weekend and be a little paranoid, be a little worried, and be a little concerned about what is happening across the globe, what's happening in other economies. This whole thing is connected, ladies and gentlemen. If a big bank like Deutsche Bank blows up in Europe, your life changes tomorrow morning. If China goes into a depression tonight, your life changes tomorrow morning. Are you ready to deal with reality? Are you ready to deal with the aftershocks that are going to come with all this? If you're not, you're going to be a statistic of the collapse. Please get ready, ladies and gentlemen. This is no joke. You do not know what tomorrow brings, what next week brings, what next month brings, or what next year brings. Take every minute you have, every day that you have, and prepare and get ready. God bless you all. Have a fantastic weekend. I look forward to talking to all of you very, very soon.